Ooh, I just hit my hand. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So we're in the middle of the Dana 60 Kingpin High Pinion Super Kick-Ass Axle build, and in the last video, if you watched it, you'll remember we kind of tore the diff apart. We made setup bearings and a setup brace for the axle. We are ready to do the gears, but in this video, that's not what we're doing, because before I go putting all those expensive parts in this housing, we better finish up the fab work that needs done on it. Welding and cutting and any of that crap, any way that we're gonna put heat into the axle, and that way we don't cook our seals and stuff. So now it's time to go back in time about a week, and I'll show you what I've been doing. You can see I did a little bit of a ghetto upgrade to my welding cart. I just took some scrap steel and kind of made a new top for it so that it's wide enough to hold the plasma cutter and the welder, because I really didn't have a place for this. And I configured it so that I can get to everything on the back. So this makes this quite a bit more handy. So I've been going back and forth about this truss, and I kind of wanted to build one like the one I built on my Dana 44 up there. But the main difference is these knuckles are so much different. The axle C's are very low profile on this one, so I just don't see a point in trying to make a bridge for right here. So like I said, I've been struggling on what I want to do with this truss. I don't really want to cut it all the way off, because if I build another one, a lot of the parts will be the same and it's just redundant. So I decided to just cut the top off of it for now. And as we get through this video, you'll see that I start to come up with a plan, and you'll just have to wait and see what that is. You're also going to notice that this is jumps in time, and this video is like recorded over a month, and each little scene might just be a half hour that I worked on it this day and an hour I worked on it that day. And that's because I've been fighting a back injury, which I did find out, by the way, that I do need surgery. I have a pretty big disc herniation. I'm fighting through the pain, whatever. It is what it is. It shouldn't be that big of a deal. But that's what's slowing me down. That's what's keeping me from having this done already. But we're fighting through it. We're making progress. And sometimes when you don't know exactly what your plan is, you just have to pick up the torch, pick up the welder, pick up the grinder, and just start going for it. And then as you start to do things, then your brain will just force you to make a decision. And that's what we're doing here.
Missed.
That was my 15-year-old telling me that I missed, and honestly, I probably deserved it. Right here, you can see just how much cleanup work we've got ahead of us. Tell you what, Big Mama here, super effective, but super loud, so we putting on the earmuffs. Since I gotta cut this spring perch off anyway, I figured I would try to save it. So what I've done is I've just cut through the welds, and I got a little bit more cutting to do. So I do have this left over from the Dana 44 swap. The problem with using this one is the height difference from where it sits on the tube to right here is almost twice as tall as this one. So then it's gonna end up higher than the perch over there. So what I did on the original one is I got real creative with like a 3-inch hole saw, and I clamped some stuff on there, and I used it to cut this out real low profile. It was a pain in the butt, and I'm trying to avoid that. So since I got to cut this one off anyway, I figured I might as well just try to keep it in usable condition, because the whole idea here is that I have to move it a ½ inch this way. The other reason I'm trying to cut this off and not torch it is, one, to be able to reuse it, but two, there's a couple spots that I tried getting close with the plasma cutter to cut these tabs off, and I cut into shit that I shouldn't have, such as my axle seat here. So once I get this cleaned up, I'm actually going to groove this out with a grinder, and I'm going to fill that in with weld, but I'm trying to avoid getting like deep gouges into the axle tube, because there was a bracket welded to this. That's why all that's there. I do have to notch this part of the casting out, like cut down from about here and then at this level in, because when I move, I have to inboard this one 1/2 inch also. Now, the previous owner already welded the hole. I'll clean that up and then I'll move it over 1/2 inch, drill a new one, and then I gotta trim this out for my spring to lay there. And here's kind of a closer up shot of where I've cut the weld out. Obviously I'm not all the way through yet because I'm whacking this with a hammer and it ain't budging yet. This side's harder to get because this is in the way. So I think I might have to get the air hammer out and just underneath.
Later.
Hey yo! Boom! God, that was a lot of work. But now I should be able to reuse this. I'll clean it up, flatten it out and everything. Yeah, unfortunately, even this way, I did gouge into the tube a little bit. Probably a little worse right there, but that's what the welder's for. You can see the whole thing's twisted and kind of wavy, and that's because they had stuff welded to it, and God knows what kind of abuse this thing went through. I'm gonna try to put it into the press here. Maybe we can straighten her out a little bit. Of course, it's after midnight, so I don't want to run the compressor and the super loud air over hydraulic jack, so we're gonna pump it like a peasant. All right, we're touching now, and it kind of wobbles like on a diagonal plane, so I'm actually going to start just right in the middle, and hopefully this thing will straighten out a little bit. Get quite a few pumps out of this. Yeah, let's put her into 4 low. See what that did. It's still super hot from the grinding. Oh man, dude. I don't know how well you all can see that, but that took like 90% of that waviness right out of that. Well, the welding table is currently junk storage, and I don't want weld splatter getting on my gears, so we're just gonna kick it old school down here. Where I had those cut marks in here, I just basically gouged it out with the grinder. Look at me wearing gloves and being all safe and shit. You don't see that too often. Looking good though, or good enough anyway. Alright, so there it is, all ground back down. And that, my friends, is how you trade an hour of your time to save a couple dollars on a part that you already had laying around. And that's about roughly where it's gonna sit, about a 1/2 inch over from where it was. So over on this side, I think I got carried away last night and just cut that out without really showing y'all, but I cut out of here. Obviously this came way down, so I just took the sawzall and went and cut that out. Needs cleaned up a little bit, so once I move that over 1/2 inch, you can see why I needed that little bit of space, and that gives me hopefully just enough room for that U-bolt to sneak up right here. I may have to cheat and only go like 3/8 of an inch, leave it about right there. So I'll have to get those jumbo U-bolts that go around this. I'll have to notch that out. And then on this side, I swear when I did this on the Dana 44, I had more left over here. It was like that. And I just cut like a moon-shaped relief right here and here for those to nest into. That's kind of a problem for once this thing's going under the Jeep. I'm just getting it as close as I can. So at this point, I probably got, I don't know, a good 2 hours more of grinding that I'm not going to show you guys. And then we'll start talking about busting out the welder to weld in these spots where I accidentally got into the casting a little bit. We're gonna weld the tubes, and then I gotta really decide the height of what I want to do with this. If I keep it pretty much level with the top of this diff, I can try to get a clean cut, which is going to be hard with all this crap here. So I'll probably bring y'all back when it's time to weld that, but obviously it's not going to be tonight because it's late and I ain't running that bad bitch after midnight. I don't want the cops showing up at my door again. Update, I have been grinding forever. I got all that raunchy stuff from that old plate cut off of there. I've gone all the way around the tubes and got all those old big thick chunks from the old brackets. There's a couple spots where the spring perch was. Just pretty much anywhere where I cut too deep into the tube or anything, I basically ground it out even farther. I'm probably gonna grind out this booger weld and lay a better weld in there. This has literally been probably 3 hours of grinding off camera that I haven't even recorded any of, just because of how it just takes forever. It's noisy and there's only so much you're gonna watch. God damn. Can you see what I'm dreaming up yet? So I've been cooking up this idea of doing the steering back here behind the axle. I have to get one of those passenger side arms that comes up this way so the drag link can be up here still. But what that's going to do is let me push the axle forward in the Jeep, and right here where the drag link hooks to the pitman arm, it was always a clearance problem with the tie rod. So I should be able to get a couple more inches of stretch by doing that and having a tie rod back here. Furthermore, I can put a standard tie rod back here and there's enough room to clear right over the diff. But I also have this double-ended ram. And these are solid straight through. It's not like it's two different rams. It's basically a solid bar. So you can mount these up and use them as a tie rod. You don't have to do full hydro. You can use that as a hydro assist ram. So in theory, I've already got these arms. I've already got that plate that it's mounted to. If I hack that up and find a way to weld it in right in here, it's where everything just clears over the diff. I could have double-ended hydro assist behind the knuckle, and then the only thing out front would be the drag link, just coming from here up to the arm. Sounds pretty tits to me. I just don't know if it's gonna work, and the only way to find out is to try. I know some of y'all are gonna say, why don't you just make it full hydro? And the truth is, right now, I really just don't want it. I still drive this thing on the street, and if I want it at a later date, it'll already be set up for it. Look at that. I was mocking this up before I moved these arms around, and this is exactly where I thought it would sit, is right on this fin right here. Probably just build a whole new plate for this, tie it into this back plate, tie it into the diff, and as it sits right there, this clears the top of the diff, but when I turn all the way this way, this big old mama jama is gonna run into this. So I would have to ultimately raise this up enough for that to clear, and then still hope that this isn't going to get into the front of my engine by the crank pulley and stuff. I've been dreaming this up probably since the day I brought this axle home, and this is kind of my first time half-ass mocking it up. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't see any reason why this ain't gonna work. It's just gonna cost a little bit of money to get those arms instead of using those ones. So it's just a whole bunch of experimenting and figuring. And I guess I gotta make up my mind because I want to get all this welding done on here before I put the gears in. Let's do it. Well, I've been grinding on this baby for like, I don't know, 600 days now or something. It's hard to count. Got these tubes looking pretty shiny. The real iffy part though is if I'm gonna mock this double ram up here. But that's like a full commit. I know I can make it work right there, and I know it'll steer, and I know it'll work. But I'm worried if I put this ram right here, so when I get the full bump, it's gonna come up and hit my crank pulley or my harmonic balancer or whatever you want to call it, because it's gonna live somewhere in this region. So it's kind of like a full commit, because if I do all that welding and shit, it's going on there. That's all there is to it. I'm sorry. I would hate to run into that kind of a clearance problem. Now I do want to shove this axle forward farther, because when I shove it forward I actually want to lower the Jeep too, which would mean even less clearance. So I'm really struggling on deciding on that. Maybe it'll clear, but I don't know. And those the arms that I need to do this are, I think they're like $350 with new studs, and these were not playing nice when I took these off to flip it, so I definitely probably need some new ones. You can see those threads are flattened out on that. That's a whole lot of rambling to say. It's really late, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and weld at least the tubes. So this one out here at the end of this, they kind of blew it out, so we're just gonna lay a Caterpillar in there and fix it. Got this baby set on Caterpillar mode. Got a couple more. There's his brother right there. You know what? I really don't feel like preheating this outer C here, just because that thing's so full of freaking grease. So we're just gonna try to send this one. Got her cranked up on kill mode. I think it'll be fine. We're definitely preheating this when we get to that. Hell, I couldn't even see the end of that damn thing. I think I went a half an inch past it. Oh yeah, that looks a little better. Oh yeah, we ain't got no cracks on that baby. That second pass blended in a hell of a lot better. At this rate, I'm starting to think maybe I should just do this side too. Remember kids, do as I say, not as I do. Oh, what in the hell is that? I missed a little part of the hole there. This spot was weird. There was just a big rectangle and it was all rusted and pitted, so I just kind of filled that in. And just a lot of little gouges from the plasma cutter. This is the bottom side of the tube. A couple of them are just little spot welds, so got a whole lot of grinding to do. Yeah, that's right. 3 grinder batteries later, we're pretty well smoothed out. Check that baby out. Turned out pretty good, but see that little bit of porosity there? It wasn't from gas coverage. It was just from a little bit of contamination. Probably should have acetoned it first, but what are you gonna do? I could grind that out and re-tack it, but does it really matter? It filled in the big, giant, gaping Grand Canyon Dam wound that was in it, and that's good enough for me. I did leave that mark right there. This little mark right here was center line on that perch, so I can go half an inch over for my new one. Obviously, I'm not gonna trust that to gospel. I'm gonna actually pull center line measurements and do all that jazz. I don't know. I'm going to bed. We'll see you the next time I come out here. Ready to do some welding, but the sirens are going off. Yeah, that's right. I said welding. Well, I went inside and let that pass. It's looking pretty cool out here now. Doesn't look like we got any real damage. I think it's new screen day. If you're a welder, you know what I'm talking about. All scratched up and hazed up. Same on the inside. You can't hardly see shit through this thing. Hello! So satisfying. I'll be able to see. What the f was that noise? Sounds like something cracked. Man, I'm not sure if y'all heard that on the other camera, if it caught it, but man, I just heard a loud ass pop on this thing, like something let go and cracked. Looking at all the old welds in there, I don't see nothing. Tell you what, I think these are 1/2 inch thick axle tubes and this is 1/4, and I don't know, I'm a little rusty with my thick metal welding. I'm not very happy with how this turned out. That is nerve-wracking. It actually turned out a whole lot better than the piece of truss that I just tried to weld though. So now I'm going to move on to heating the other side. There it is. That's about as good as I can get it wrapped up for now. That's what I got. I'll tie something on there so it doesn't fall off. The whole point of this is so that it can cool down slowly, because the two types of metals cool at different rates, and that's how you get cracks. Now honestly, I'm not even going to recommend that anybody even do this, because you do have a chance of pulling an axle tube, warping it, or getting cracks in the housing. We try to mitigate that with the preheat, the post-heat, the blanket, the painting, etc., etc. But you stand a high chance of ruining your axle, so you've been warned. So I am gonna get to work on dreaming up some kind of a bracket for that steering ram, and I gotta move quick because I need to get this damn thing done. So when I do that, I'll probably just put it in its own little video about it, and then everybody can be haters and tell me I'm stupid for doing it that way, which I love. That's part of the reason why I do this half backward shit that I do. I mean, I just need a lot more time to get that done. I can't fit it into this video. Kind of hard to believe that I started recording this video like the last day of March, and here it is like May 7th, Sunday night, and finally getting to a point where I can finish it. That just goes to show you how slow going things have been. Now, for those of you that wanted the update on my surgery / back situation, the MRI came back. It's a recurrence of the same exact disc and spot that I had repaired in 2020, so it's not that big of a deal. He said it is big enough that it should be operated on, but at the same time, my pain kind of went away. It was like 8 to 9 weeks of pure hell, and then pretty much when I made that last video talking about it, I woke up the next day and the pain was like half gone, and it has just gotten better every day. So he also said that I'm fine to just postpone it and wait until, you know, if it gets bad again, then go in. I'm just kind of unsure on what to do with that, because my luck, I'll postpone it, then it'll come back at the worst possible time. I'll have to start over. So I don't really know. It's not that big of a surgery. It's less than 6 weeks back to full recovery, but realistically, like 2 weeks later, I could probably be back to work. So it's minimally invasive. It's not that big of a deal. They're already starting the scheduling on it and stuff, and they basically told me to call them if I don't want to have it. It's looking like here in maybe 2-3 weeks, I'll be getting a surgery. I just can't understand how the pain went away. It was so bad. It was probably worse than, this will be my 3rd back surgery if I go through with it, and both of the other 2 times was really bad, but it went on and on and on for months and months and months. And the one time I held off for like 3 years before I got it done, mostly because it got really bad right there at the end. The pain's never gone away from me before, but then I get on the Google machine and it says, most patients with disc herniations, the pain will resolve on its own within 6 to 8 weeks. And I'm like, that's news to me, because I've been through this and ain't nothing ever resolved. But apparently this one, I don't know if my spine just made room for that little blob to be in there and the inflammation went down. I still feel it. I still get zingers. It still hurts. I still can't do certain things without it letting me know it's still there, but like for the most part I can get through my day just fine. So hell, I don't know, guys. But I do appreciate the support and the questions and the well wishes and all that stuff. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. We're gonna. Apparently the train don't know I'm trying to record.